What's good, fam? Welcome back to the zone. Today we're getting started with week 2, and the first matchup is going to be the Mavericks against the Pelicans. And so what typically I'll do is I'm going to play with one of the brothers each week. So last week we played with the Pelicans. Today I was supposed to play with the Mavericks, but being that they're going up against the Pelicans, I'll just watch the game and you'll watch the game with me. And then for the other brothers, what I do is I'm going to simcast, and if in the event like they're not winning, let's say by the third or fourth quarter, I'll hop in and I'll play the game. I won't play the full game compared to the other games, just so that we can save upon time and we can get through the season in a timely manner. But if you've been liking the series thus far, please leave a like below. I would like to get at least 10 likes this video compared to what I've done in the past, and let's get started. Let's get it. I'm looking very forward to this game. As you can see, with the Mavs were 1-1 and the Pelicans were 0-2, which makes it why I wanted to see this game. But I think it's going to be a fairly even match with Miles versus Neil. The overalls are different by like 3 points, but it should be fairly tied since Neil is taller than Miles. But when it comes to the 2 spot, I think Eddie probably will give Lester the business. When it comes to 3, Axe and Chase have a rivalry stemming from the blacktop, so that should be interesting to see how that translates on the court. And then when it comes to the 4, I think Duncan is going to give Steven some problems, at least in the paint. And then finally, when it comes to Zach and Rod, even though Rod's a 68 and Zach's a 78, as I mentioned before, I think Rod is a sleeper, so that should be very interesting. But Mavs got the tip off, and now Eddie has the rock. He's looking around, dribbling around kind of aimlessly. He almost gets stripped by Zach. But Chase passes it to Rod. He takes a nice shot. And Miles gets the board. Dribbling up, behind the back, between the leg. Oh, what? And a spin move. Green light layup. Let's look at that again. That was a nice jelly. Look at that. Embodying Kyrie Irving. Real talk, I can't even do that when I play with Miles, so that's impressive that the CPU could do that. But Chase with a nice 3-pointer, bringing the game 3-4. Duncan Webb with the board, and Stephen Lee with a massive block, telling him to hold that. Score is still 3-6. Ron McGee passes the rock to Neil Upsar Jr., who gets the screen from Duncan, takes a 3-point shot, and misses. I thought that was in for sure, but Axe with the board, dribbling up, passing the rock to Lester Fully with the ugliest jump shot, but that green was mean. Nice 3-point shot. I didn't even know Lester had that in his bag. But Neil Upshaw with the rock. Stephen Lee trying to defend, closing out. Waiting for the play to develop. Neil to Chase. Chase again for 3. It wasn't green, but it was still mean, bringing the score 6-9. Yet again, Eddie Yao. Deep shot, tying the game 9-9. This is already exciting. Lester Fuller with the rock, passes it to Axe to Steven. Steven almost gets ripped by Duncan. I told you Duncan was going to give Steven some problems. But Axe waiting for the pick. Tries to get around Duncan, but Duncan was like, nah, not in my house. Block the crap out of that. Looks like that. Ooh, beautiful block by Duncan. Sent that joint to the stands. Inbound pass to Miles. Clock is running down. For 3, and it went in. 47% covered. If that was me, that would have been bricks all day. But in any event, Neil passed the rock to Eddie Yao, who's covered by Lester Fuller. He's waiting, passes it to Chase. Chase again with a 3, and that was mean as well. Score is 12-14. Brevin Ivy gets stripped. Mike Manis to Miles to Derek, and he hammers it down and 1. Foul on Chase, bringing the score 15-18. Miles passes the rock to Henry Fisher, and a nice dunk in the paint as well. Scoring very easily on the fast breaks, which I like to see. Hopefully they keep this energy up throughout the rest of the season. But Chase, in the paint, takes a fadeaway jumper, misses it, and Miles gets the board. See, he has his takeover. Let's see what he's going to do with it. But he passed the right to Henry Fisher again, who makes a nice layup in the paint. Another 2 points for the Pelicans. At this point, Miles gets fouled. He scores the easy buckets, bringing the score 16-24. And Brevin Ivy is bringing the rock up the court. Let's see what they're going to do with this. Pass the rock to Steve Levins. Size the mic up. Easy layup in the paint. It's too easy for Steve because he's dumb tall compared to Mike, so he better have scored. But Derek Gadsden passed the rock to Michael Kent to Henry Fisher, and a fadeaway jumper from Derek Gadsden, and he makes this easy bucket. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but he definitely made that fadeaway. That was pretty nice. But Chase trying to get in the paint, he gets blocked by Henry Fisher. Passes the rock up to Miles. See what you're going to do with this, Miles. Looks like Miles is testing Brevin out. By the looks of it, I don't think Brevin can guard him. Get by, Miles. Look at that. Nice one. Layup and one. Bring the score 18-28. Miles scored the free throws. Now we have Jermaine with the rock. Igor is covering him. No, I really don't see Igor play that much, so I'm curious to see what he'll do in this game. But Jermaine pulls up for three and he bricks it, but Steve Levins with the board and he gets a nice putback, scoring 2 points, bringing the score 20-29, which ends the quarter. So far, so good. I like the competition between the two teams. It seems like they are fairly even despite a few mistakes on the Mavericks side of the house on the defensive end, but I do think that overall this will be a fun game to watch. But Miles getting by Brevin again, scoring 2 points. As I said before, I don't think Brevin can guard Miles too well, so they might want to switch up that matchup to somebody that should guard him. Because considering that Neil also plays the same position as Miles, and considering his wingspan and size, I'm not too sure about his perimeter defense, but it's highly possible that he'll be able to lock Miles down. But look at that, Neil with a nice block on Lester Fuller. Miles with the ball, bringing it up the court, passes it to Rob McGee. Rob McGee scores the layup and one, bringing the score 28-35. He then scored the free throw, which makes it 29-35. Lester Fuller driving into the paint, gets the tough layup. Nice. It said it was 9% cover, but it was definitely more than that. But Rob McGee with the rock. Tries to get by Igor, shoots the layup, misses it, but he gets the putback, bringing the score 31-37. I'm telling you, man, Rod's a sleeper, man. If he develops even further beyond the 68 overall, I'm telling you, he's going to be a big contributor. I'm just concerned as far as what's going to happen to him in the offseason. Well, I shouldn't be concerned, considering that I'll be taking control of all of the contractual arrangements at that point in time. So, got to make sure that he develops even more because I want to see what he's capable of doing. But Lester's bringing the rock up the court, passes it to Axe, easy bucket to the paint. And one thing you'll see throughout this game is that the Pelicans are definitely dominating on the fast breaks, moving up the court very quickly to score the points in the paint. But look at Duncan giving Steven a hard time, blocking him twice. Up the court, up to Neal for three, and it's good. Bringing the score 37-43. Mavs are still down, but they're still in the game. A simple mistake on the Pelican side will stop this run. And as you can see, Steven got another block on Axe, stopping that. Steve passes to McGee. McGee with the layup. Another 2 points, bringing the score to 39-43. Miles gets stripped, or almost gets stripped. Mike Manis gets the ball back, passes it to Miles, spin move, mid-range jump shot, and it's good. Although I hate that animation, Miles, when it's the CP, tends to make it, so I'm not going to complain. But the score is 39-47. Brevin Ivy to Chase. Chase for three again. It's not green, but it's still mean. Less than 2 minutes left to go. Michael Kemp with a rock, passes it to Henry Fisher. He pulls the three, highly contested, and he made it. I did not know Henry had that in his bag. We definitely need to develop that even more because that's going to come in handy off the bench. But Steve with the rock. Henry full in front of him, passes it to Chase. Chase tries to drive, almost gets stripped. Mid-range jumper, misses it, gets his own board, and puts back the shot, bringing the score to 46-50. Less than a minute left. Michael Kemp with the rock. Pass it to Miles. Miles pumps fake, takes the layup, he misses it, but Hugh Hendricks gets the board. He's dribbling it up the court, passes it to Chase, who gets a nice layup. Okay, Chase, I see you. He brings the score 48-50. Now Hendricks on the fast break, gets by them easily and hammers it down, tying the game up at 50 with 25 seconds left in the game. Michael Kent tries to drive up. They're waiting to draw at the clock. I guess Michael's going to take the last shot, but we'll see. Chase tries to test him out, see if he could steal it. We got 8 seconds left. What you gonna do with it, Michael? Tries to drive in. Chase is there. Takes an ugly layup. Misses the shot. Misses the putback. And it's halftime. The game is 50-50. Like I said, this game is going to be fun to watch. Mavericks came back, and at the half, looks like things are fairly even from a point perspective. And even looking at the score, Chase and Miles have the same number of points and almost the same number of stats in general. But let's punch in and let's look at the Miami Heat going against the Atlanta Hawks. As you can see, we got DeJuan Lowe shooting the three, bringing the score to 4-7 in Miami's favor. But Shane Hicks drives, passes it to Clark Bryan, back to Shane Hicks, and he shoots a three-pointer and ties the game up at 7. Okay, I don't remember Shane's detail, but I need to look back at it, see what his details are from an attribute perspective, because I didn't think he would be able to shoot threes like that. But Sam Best gets the rock, steals it, passes it to Bradley Parrish, who shoots a three again, bringing the score 7-14. So the Hawks were down big. As you can see, they're down by what is now 14 points, 9-23. But they were able to get a lot of contact in the paint, which drove a lot of their plays to the free throw line, which helped benefit them and bring the score down. But then Dexter Burke shoots a nice three, helping bring the deficit down to 9 points. And so now Mark Man's driving up, waiting for the play to develop. He gets a nice screen by Chapman, but doesn't take it. And as a result, Tyler Yu was able to get in front of him and get the block to stop the run. But Oliver Michaud takes a mid-range, misses it, and Julian Bush gets the board. Passes the rock up to Tyler Yu, who hezzies, passes it to Dexter Burke, who drives to the basket. He realized Rod Zhang is a baby compared to him, posts him up, and gets the layup in the paint, bringing the score 18-25. Now at this point, Rod Zhang wants some payback for what happened, so he's driving around the court, dribbling, passes it to Casey Stark, and Casey Starks gets blocked. Now, I expect Casey Stark to be able to contribute more on this team, considering his high attributes, considering his height and his weight. I expected him to be a dominant force. Now, I know that after the creation of Parker Padgett, Casey is now starting off the bench. And so we'll talk more about that in detail when we talk about the Heat as part of their team spotlight. But I was definitely disappointed from what I saw in this first quarter from Casey. A nice Rod Zhang getting a nice dunk despite his small stature. But as you can see, we fast forward to the fourth quarter, and there's a big difference in points where the Miami Heat is now down by 30 points. Like I said, the Hawks went on a major run. Nice alley-oop from Mark Mann to JT Person, but Clark Bryan, man, I did not know he was as good as a shooter as I saw in this game. And what was crazy to see was that he was part of the first draft class that I had in my other version of my league. And as part of that draft class, he was the 23rd pick overall. So one would argue we wouldn't expect to see much from those folks being able to contribute at least early in their career, right? It usually takes time for folks to develop. I know Jokic, he was like in the 40s from an overall perspective, but look at what I'm saying right here. Clark banged another three-pointer, bringing the score to 110 to 82. But yeah, as I was saying, I didn't expect a lot from Clark considering how low he was in the draft. He was, I want to say mid. I wouldn't say mid second round, but he was definitely the 10th pick in the second round, essentially. And so I would expect there to be a lot of problems, but his contribution to this team definitely helped put them over the top when it comes to scoring, as you could clearly see, with the score being 110 to 87. But Mike Greed, a Yancey maker, easy points in the lane. And that was another thing that was poor about the Heat during this game from a defensive standpoint. The paint was super sweet. I mean, they gave up so many points in the paint. I forget what the total amount is, but in this case, I thought the game was over. But that's when DeJuan decided to turn things up, and he started to get more active in this game. So he has the rock. DeJuan almost forces a steal. Franklin Adkins takes a horrible shot, but DeJuan or DJ low, passes the rock to Gavin Bain, who gets 2 points in the paint, bringing the score 112 to 95. And so earlier when I was talking, they had the third string players from the Hawks playing, but because of DJ's contributions, as a result, they had to bring the starters back in the game just to make sure that they don't give those 30 points. So you'll see right now the score is 112 to 99. But it's a little too late for them to come back. Gary Temple with a nice layup, getting 2 points, bringing the score 112 to 101. They weren't as down as they were at the beginning of the quarter, but definitely not enough for them to get the win. It was still fun to watch the Hawks play and get this win, because I really thought they were going to lose based on how things went in the first quarter. But if we take a look at the stats, right? Although it seems like DJ had a great game, scoring 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, he only shot roughly 36% from the field, which isn't going to cut it, especially at the fact that he started late in the fourth quarter when it really didn't matter. But the key disappointments for me would be Parker Padgett, who really wasn't able to capitalize on the good opportunities he had to score. He only shot 2 for 7 from the field and only had 4 points. Another disappointment would be Casey Starks. He had 8 points, he had 9 boards and 2 assists, but I definitely expected more from him. He only shot 30% from the field, which definitely didn't help his team. Sam Best was a little bit more efficient, but he only had 6 points, and he's the starting 4 on the team. But if you take a look at the Hawks, Clark Bryant surprised me with his 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Yancey Maker surprised me because I didn't expect him to score more than Aaron Lawrence, but both he and Dexter stood up and contributed from an offensive perspective, whereas Aaron did what he could on the defensive side. Overall, I think the Hawks had more heart than the Heat, but this is still early in the season. Things will develop and change over time. And if we look at the overall scores, you'll see that the teams were fairly even. The only difference is that the Hawks were able to hit more three-pointers compared to the Heat, which gave them the edge that they needed to take this win. But let's flip over to the Golden State Warriors versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I must admit, this was sheer destruction of the Thunder. You'll see the score is 139 to 82, and it was rather surprising because Harry Reynolds was the first pick overall in the previous My League. He did score 20 points, he got 4 boards. He did what he could. He wasn't as efficient as he could be, but his teammates really need to step up. Defensively, it just wasn't there, as you can see with Zach Bell, who had a minus 46. Harry Reynolds himself had a minus 32, and Lonnie Chase had minus 18. I'm not even going to bother looking at the rest of the team because I want to highlight the Warriors. And so if we take a look at Kenji Hall, shout out to Hoodie Sean because this is one of his creations. Kenji had 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists, almost having a double-double. But he and the team were able to get a lot of the fast break points and score 90 points in the paint compared to OKC's 42. And they were just simply dominating on both the offensive and defensive side of the house. But that is our halftime show. Let's get back into it to see the Mavs versus the Pelicans. Let's see what adjustments these teams make. But Miles with the pump fake. Passes it out to Axe. Axe for 3, and that green is mean right in Chase's face. Whole lot. Again with the rock, Miles is dribbling around the perimeter, trying to get by Eddie U. Passes it to Lester Fuller. That shot is ugly, but it was green. Another 3 points from the perimeter. And that's, I think, what the Mavs struggle with the most is that perimeter defense, whereas the Pelicans struggle with the interior defense. As you can see right here, Lester couldn't guard Chase, and he ends up fouling him, giving Chase the and one, bring the score 53 to 58. But Miles with a nice floater, getting 2 points in the paint. Miles is definitely more aggressive than Chase is when it comes to getting in the paint and getting contact and taking some difficult shots. I wonder if Chase is going to develop over time. And oddly enough, I haven't played with him yet, so I don't know how he is. But look at that. Axe with a nice mid-range jump shot over Chase. Like I said, them boys are rivals, so they should be going back and forth in this game as well as future games. But yeah, as I was saying, Chase is definitely not as aggressive as Miles, as you can see. He passes it to Axe for 3 again, bring the score 53 to 65. And I'm hoping that Essentially, we could develop Chase so that he could be more assertive in the paint, as he is right now. Just need that to be more consistent and have him be more impactful. Now, granted, as you can see, he has 21 points. He's shooting 8 for 17, a little under 500. But comparing the two, Miles is definitely not hesitant to get in the paint and score 2 buckets as opposed to shooting from the perimeter, despite the fact that he can. Neil Upshaw with a deep crossover gets by Stephen Lee. Florida off the glass, 2 points, 57 to 68. Mavs down by 11. Don't count him out. Neil Upshaw passes the rock to Rob McGee. Nice layup in the paint. See what I was saying before? The Pelicans have issues getting defensive stops in the paint. Yet again, nice double pump, reverse dunk by Duncan Webb. Let's look at that again. Neil Upshaw passed the rock to Duncan, double pump reverse dunk, hammering it down for 2 points. The score is now 61 to 68. Lester Fuller passes the rock to Axe. Axe to Stephen Lee to Lester. Lester gets blocked by Rob McGee. Jermaine Armstrong with the rock, passes up to Rob McGee with a nice layup, almost scored, but he gets 2 shots at the line. Rob McGee misses the first, but he hits the second, bringing the score 62 to 68. Now Miles is bringing the ball up the court. Blows by Neil Upshaw and dunks on him very easily, bringing the score 62 to 70. I'm telling you, man, Miles is very aggressive to get to the paint, and I like it. Because that's how I play with him, so to see the CPU do the same thing is pretty fun. But Miles couldn't keep up with Neil, and he himself gets to the line, gets an and one, bringing the score 65 to 70. So you see what I'm saying? If Neil is the one guarding Miles, Mavs might have a better chance than having Brevin Ivy. And even having Brevin Ivy on Lester Fuller is not good, because as you can see, Lester gets by him and gets the layup. Tough layup, but gets it over Brevin without any issues. Rod McGee with the rock, Igor covering him. Jermaine tries to set a pick. Rod passes it to Jermaine, and he shoots a 3-pointer. Wasn't green, but it was still a good shot. Nice 3-pointer, bring the score to 68 to 72. Now Chase off with the fast break, easy layup, scoring 2 points, bring the game to 70 to 72. Now Lester Fuller, sizing up Brevin, almost gets by him, passes it to Michael Kent, who shoots for 3, and it was good. Wasn't green, but he still shot it, so I'm curious to see if he has that skill set in his bag. But Lester on the fast break to Miles, who scores an easy 2 points off of the glass, bringing the score 70 to 77. Now at this point, Neil has the rock. He seems a bit gassed. Looks like he was trying to call for the ISO, but he passes it to Chase. Chase is getting doubled. Chase passes it to Rob McGee, who shoots a deep mid-range, and it's good, bringing the score 72 to 79. I'm telling you, man, I got my eye on Rob McGee. He's definitely a sleeper. I hope he gets better. Gets stripped by Jermaine Armstrong, or picked, I should say. He passed it to Rob McGee for Chase for 3. Wasn't green, but it was still a mean 3, bringing the score 75 to 79. I told you Mavericks is still in this. Mike Manus bring the rock up the court. Passes it to Igor Chuganov, who gets an easy 2 points in the paint, score 75 to 81. Miles bringing the rock up the court. I know for a fact Brevin can't hold him, but Miles passes it to Mike Manus, who misses the shot. Michael Kent shoots a deep mid-range and scores, bringing the score 75 to 85. Brevin Ivy bringing the rock up the court. Tries to get an alley-oop, but Henry Fisher grabs it midair, passes the rock to Lester Fuller, who does a half spin to Michael Kent. Nice layup off the glass, bringing the score 75 to 87. Now we got Mike Manus bringing the rock up the court. He passes it to Lester Fuller, Fuller to Kent, Kent to Henry Fisher, back to Lester Fuller, a nice layup in the paint, bringing the score 75 to 89. Now Jermaine was able to get to contact in the paint, he was able to get to the line, bringing the score to 77 to 89, and I believe that will end the third quarter. So let's dive in back into the fourth quarter. We got 12 minutes left in this game. Eddie Yao passes the rock to Brevin Ivy. Brevin Ivy to Jermaine Armstrong, and he hits a crazy 3-pointer. And he's flexing on him, bringing the score 79 to 89. Or excuse me, that was a deep 2, not even a 3. But Eddie Yao gets in the paint, scores 2 points, bringing the score 81 to 89. Now Michael Kent's bringing Brock up the court, passes it to Henry Fisher, Henry to Mike Maness, and then Michael Kent, another three-pointer? Ain't no way. Scores 81-92. Nah, we got to check this out. Hold on a second. I got to find this man and look at his attributes. If I remember, he was low. And by low, I mean he was the 47th pick, but he does have a solid three-point attribute, so I'm hoping he's able to do that during the remainder of the season and not just because the CPU is playing with him. But in any event, the score is now 85-92. Axe gets by Brevin. Easy bucket in the paint. Bring the score 85-94. Eddie Yao almost gets by Zach Ellis, but Zach is too big. Swats that out. Not in my paint. Scores 85-94 still with 9 minutes and 50 seconds left in the quarter. Lester Fuller tries to get past Eddie. Axe at Lester, but gets stolen by Eddie Yao, who passed the rock up to Duncan Webb, who passed the rock to Steve Levins, and this nice layup off the glass, bring the score 87-94. Zach Ellis with the rock. And I noticed the coach calls a lot of plays where Zach is starting off the play, which I found rather interesting. With Stephen Lee waiting for the play to develop, passes it to Zach Ellis, who pulls up a deep mid-range shot, and he actually made it. I didn't even know Zach could shoot, because he definitely didn't do that in the Raptors game, if you remember that. But Eddie Yao gets stripped by Miles, who gets the ball back. Miles is trying to guard him up. Eddie Yao takes a deep three-pointer, and he makes it. That little hesitation that Miles had created enough space for Eddie to shoot the three-pointer and bring the score up to 90-96. Now, Stephen Lee, he got some baby on him, but he's not going to do anything. At least I don't think so. But he passes it to Miles. Miles hammers it down, bringing the score 90-98. And at this point, Miles has 26 points and 16 of them things in the paint. Look at him flexing on him. Now, Neil Upshart gets stripped by Miles. He's driving it to the lane. Stop, pop, let it drop, bringing the score 90-100. What a run. But as you can see, Chase and Miles were still fairly even, where Miles had 26 points and Chase had 28, or I might have had it reversed, but I'm bugging. In any event, Eddie Yao is trying to get by Miles, and he blew by him without any problem, bringing the score 92-100. Lester tries to get a lay. Good contest by Rod McGee, who passed the rock up to Neil Upshaw Jr., passes it to Eddie Yao, who shoots a deep mid-range again, bringing the score 94-100. And as you can see, Miles is the player of the game. I don't know if I showed this in the other games, but Miles definitely had a good game. And mind you, I'm not controlling him. He's just doing his thing. So let him get his accolades real quick. That spin move was mean. Double pump jump shot. Nice. And he's getting his dimes. But yeah, this game is fire, man. I enjoy watching this game. Scores 96-100. Lester Fuller's bringing the rock up. He almost gets stripped by Duncan, takes the layup, and gets fouled by Duncan, or excuse me, Rod McGee, getting to the line. So he scored the 2 points. Scores now 96-102. Neil Upshaw Jr. is guarded by Miles. Miles is doing a good contest, trying to get in front of him. Mike Maness, unable to stop him, and Neil gets a nice layup in the paint. 2 points, 98-102 with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. Neil in front of Miles. Ooh, they double him up, triple teaming him, excuse me. And Zach Ellis, wide open, gets the layup in the paint. Scores now 98-104. Things are getting kind of hectic. But Eddie Yao with the rock. Duncan sets the pick, and that little bit of space is just enough for Eddie to shoot another three-pointer, and that green was mean, bringing the score to 101-104 with 3 minutes left in the quarter. Axel driving, crossover, mid-range shot, and he scored again in Chase's mouth. Whole lot. But Lester missed the layup. Rod McGee to Eddie Yao. Eddie Yao to Neil Upshart Jr. for 3, and it's good, bringing the score 104-106. The Mavs went on a mean run. And as you can see, Axe bricked it. Eddie Yao running up. Pass it to Neil Upshaw, who has an easy layup in the paint, bringing the score to 106 all with almost 2 minutes left in the game. Let's see how this pans out, folks. Lester Fuller passed it to Axe. Should pull it, because that's the spot. And, of course, he makes it. Chase messed up on that. I think he might have got got stopped with a pick at that point, but score is now 106 to 109. Neil Upshaw trying to get by. Nice bounce pass, and Duncan getting the contact foul from Mike Maness. Duncan Webb hits both free throws, bringing the score to 108 to 109. With less than 2 minutes left in the game, the Mavs have 2 timeouts, and the Pelicans have 1. But Lester passes the rock to Axe, who's in the spot, shoots for 3, and he bricked it. Duncan Webb with the board. Passes the rock to Rod McGee, who passes it to Eddie Yao. Eddie Yao back to Rod McGee, who shoots it out to Neil Upshaw, who shoots for 3, 41% covered, and he makes it, bringing the score to 110 to 109. The score is now 110 to 113. Passes the rock to Neil Upshaw. Duncan Webb for 3, and that green was mean, tying up the game at 113. We now have less than 20 seconds left. Lester Fuller with the rock. He passes it to Axe. He passes the rock to Lester Fuller. Spin layup. Misses it. In and out. Eddie Yao passes the rock up to Rod McGee. Rod McGee takes the shot and gets fouled by Axe. What are you doing, Axe? Scores 113-113. Rod has 2 free throws. And he missed. He fumbled the bag on that one. So there's still a chance for the Pelicans. It's anybody's game. Will Rod make the next shot? Let us find out. For me, my Bahab would be beaten right now. And he missed. Mike Maness with the rebound. Don't you dare pull it. Oh. Well, we know he can't shoot, but he bricked it. So this brings us to our first OT that I've seen for the FBL. So now 4 minutes, 40 seconds in. Rod McGee with the deep mid-range, and he hits it, bringing the score 115 out the gate. Score is now 115-115. Neil Upshaw Jr. waiting for the play to develop. Rod McGee has the rock. He passes it to Chase, who is actually in the paint, and Axe fouls again. He has 5 fouls now. And Chase makes the and 1. Miles is bringing the rock up the court. Passes the ball to Zach Ellis. Axe to Miles. Ooh, he almost had him with the deep crossover, but Deals was ready for him. Almost stole the ball. Scores 118 to 115. Miles to Mike Maness. Maness to Axe in the corner, who shoots for 3 over Chase, and it's good. Bring the score 118 to 118. 3 minutes left in the quarter. Neil Upshaw bringing the rock up the court. He gets by Miles. Does a half spin in front of Lester. What's he going to do with it? Oh, an alley-oop to Duncan Webb. Bring the score 120 to 120. 2 minutes left, and the Pelicans call a timeout. Zach Ellis Jr. bring the rock up the court. He almost got by Rod McGee, who passes it to Lester Fuller. Weird play going, but the paint was sweet, and Zach was able to score an easy 2 points, bring the score 120 to 122. Now Eddie Yao to Rod McGee, who gets blocked by Zach. Miles driving up the court. Open lane, but he passes it to Lester, who almost gets stripped by Eddie Yao. Takes a shot and makes it over Rod McGee. Scores 120 to 124. Neil Upshaw Jr. gets by Miles and passes the rock to Duncan Webb, who gets blocked by Zach Ellis Jr. Mike Maness passes the rock to Axe, who passes the rock to Lester Fuller, and an easy 2 points in the paint, bringing the score 120 to 126. There's a minute and 30 seconds left. Can they come back? Neil Upshaw Jr. with the floater off the glass, bring the score 122 to 126. This game is intense, folks. Lester Fuller off the dribble, passes it to Zach Ellis, who hammers it down in the paint again. I don't know what's going on with the Mavericks, but normally they're not this bad in the paint. The score is 122 to 128. Neil Upshaw Jr. mid-range misses the shot, and the Mavs get the ball back. Now a minute left. Pass the rock to Eddie Yao, who shoots mid-range, and it's good. 124 to 128. I'll tell you what, Eddie Yao put the team on his back. Lester Fuller passed the rock to Stephen Lee, who dunks it down for 2 points in the paint. The Mavs got rattled, and they're not following their defensive scheme. The score is 124 to 130. Duncan Webb overpowering Stephen Lee in the paint, getting 2 points. The score is 126 to 130. Axe for 3. He bricks it. Stephen Lee gets the board. What's he gonna do with it? He passes it out to Axe. 6 seconds left. Axe tries to get by. Takes the shot mid-range. Bricks it. Stephen Lee with the putback, and it's good. 126 to 132. Eddie Yao with the jelly, getting 2 points in the paint. 128 to 132. And we now have 17 seconds left. What are the Mavs gonna do? Chase with the rock. Ugly pump fake. Bricks the 3-point. I don't know why he took that shot. He would never take that type of shot. 10 seconds left. Lester hits the free throw, bringing the score 128 to 136. This game is over, man. GG's. I definitely enjoyed watching this. It was any team's game. It could have been the Mavs, it could have been the Pelicans, but in the last 2 minutes, the Mavericks just simply did not know what to do with themselves. Man, Miles had a solid game, almost racking up a triple-double with 32 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and he shot 67% from the field. Lester completely surprised me with his contribution to this game with his 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 14 assists. But he may need to work on his shooting a bit, hitting only 32% from the field. Axe showed up with the game with 22 points and 8 rebounds, but he also has to work on his shooting. But then honorable mentions go to Henry Fisher with his impact, with 9 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks while shooting for 67%. Showed a lot of potential during the game, especially during the fourth quarter. Might need to pay attention to him and actually give him as well as Mike Kent some burn. But on the Mavs side, Chase did a good job. He got 31 points, shot 48% from the field and 56% from beyond the arc. Neal performed well, getting a double-double, getting 23 points, 10 assists while shooting 60% from the field. But Eddie is the one who truly surprised me on the Mavs side with his fourth quarter push as well as his OT push to help bring the team back, but could have been more efficient with the shooting and definitely could have helped with the playmaking. But I felt like he had held the ball for too long when his teammates had open looks. But Duncan, as you know, is one of my guys. He was able to finish a lot in the paint and draw fouls. But ultimately, the Mavs lost this game in overtime simply because they just forgot what they needed to do on defense. They easily could have won by the shots they were taking. But we'll see how they play when I play with them in the next couple of games. But let's take a look at the league standings towards the end of the week. We have the Phoenix Suns at the top, followed by the Jazz and the Warriors. I low-key expected the Warriors to be at the top of the pack, at least the way they played based off of the games that I saw, but they're only 2 games behind the Suns as far as the games played. Raphael and the Lakers have a higher standing compared to the Mavericks and the Pelicans, who have the same record after this week. And at the bottom of the list, we have the Kings, Trailblazers, and the Clippers that surprisingly have not won a single game yet, which is rather shocking to me. Now, if we take a look at the East, the Knicks are at the top, followed by the Hornets and the Pistons, which surprises me a lot for reasons I won't get into just yet. Another shocker is how low the Raptors are in the standings right now, considering the beating the Pelicans took last week. Now at the bottom of the pack, we have the 76ers, which is a big shocker because they have the same record as the Nets and the Cavaliers. Each of these 3 teams I expected to be higher than the Hawks, Wizards, and the Pacers, given their star caliber, especially the 76ers if you saw the highlight video that we had last month. But if you didn't, you should probably check that out. If you made it this far in the vid, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think about the video, what you think about the format, what are some things that we could do to improve the overall experience that you had while you watched these vids. But nonetheless, I appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time. Later.